8 days. That is the window between right now and the moment Trump either authorizes the most consequential American military strike in a generation or backs down from the biggest bluff in modern presidential history. Either way, it ends in 8 days. And either way, the American economy pays the price. Here is what Reuters confirmed on Saturday, February 21st, 2026. Trump's own advisors are urging him to focus on the economy and not Iran. Multiple sources inside the White House, the political operatives who understand what November looks like if gas is $6 and retirement accounts are down 7%. They are not whispering concern in private. They are actively trying to stop an authorization they believe will destroy the Republican Party's electoral viability for a decade. And one of them told Axios the quiet part out loud: 90%. 90% chance of kinetic action in the next few weeks. That is an insider, someone in the meetings, someone watching Trump poll his advisors back and forth until the sudden decision comes. And when it comes, the authorization transmits before the economic team can stop it. That is not speculation. That is a pattern. Trump vacillated before ordering strikes on Iran last year. He vacillated before the Maduro capture operation in January. Both times, advisors argued until the moment the military moved. Both times, the military moved. The economic advisors in the room right now know this pattern. It is why they are not just arguing. They are, according to Reuters reporting, going around Trump entirely. Briefing cabinet members on economic messaging for November without the president present. That is the story, not the strikes, not the diplomacy. The story is that a White House in open internal revolt cannot stop the countdown from reaching zero. We know this because 4 sources confirmed it to Reuters. We know this because Axios tracked the internal polling in real time. We know this because financial markets have already moved. Oil surged more than 5% in 1 week as traders watched the carriers reposition. The compressed timeline, April 2025, Trump's letter to Khamenei and 60-day deadline. Deadline passes. Israel strikes Iran. Brief war, ceasefire, nuclear sites damaged but intact. February 6, 2026, first renewed talks in Muscat. Rubio tells reporters he does not know if a deal is reachable. February 17th, Geneva, Kushner, and Witkoff present Iran with a demand for a written proposal. February 19th, Trump says publicly Iran has 10-15 days before bad things happen. February 22nd, a formal 48-hour deadline issued to Iran for its written proposal. February 27th, Geneva talks, if the proposal arrives. If it does not arrive, the diplomatic window closes and the operational window opens. Every deadline that has passed has moved the authorization closer, not further. The insiders know this. They are not miscounting. They are panicking. Geneva, February 17th. The room is all wrong for the scale of what is being decided. A conference table in the Swiss diplomatic quarter. Steve Witkoff sits across from Abbas Araghchi, a man who has been doing this since before Witkoff knew what a foreign minister was. Jared Kushner beside him, son-in-law, family, someone who can actually get through to Trump. Araghchi describes the atmosphere as serious, constructive, and positive. He talks about guiding principles. He talks about a clearer path. He sounds like a man who believes a deal is possible, or at least needs to sound that way for the camera. He does not say Iran accepts zero enrichment on its soil. He does not say the supreme leader has authorized concessions on the missile program. He says the proposal will be drafted and reviewed by Tehran's political leadership, which means Khamenei, the man who, as Vance noted publicly, does not even attend the negotiations, the single human being whose signature on any deal is the only thing that matters, and who has not given any indication he is ready to sign. Witkoff and Kushner return to Washington and brief Trump. Caroline Leavitt walks to the podium the next day and says, without softening, the two sides are still very far apart on some issues. Witkoff and Kushner reportedly told Trump a deal would be difficult if not impossible. and the second carrier group moved into the Arabian Sea, and 50 more fighters repositioned. He knows there is no miracle in Tehran. He is moving the pieces anyway. Receipt 1, the $50 billion door. Nobody is adding the full number. Israeli economists estimated a multi-week air campaign at $2 billion for Israeli-scale operations. American operations are larger in every dimension. Pentagon sources told NPR full readiness arrives by mid-March, double the Israeli estimate, minimum. $50 billion. Fuel, munitions, personnel, 2 carrier groups at wartime tempo, intelligence, logistics, before a single American household feels a thing. That is not the cost of the war. That is the cost of starting it. Verdict: the opening check of this war is $50 billion for zero guaranteed outcome. But that's only the entry fee. Receipt 2, the oil clock. Brent crude at an $89 per barrel came before the first shot, already elevated on war risk. Rystad Energy projects an immediate $10 to $15 per barrel jump on confirmed strikes. J.P. Morgan's commodities desk said even surgical strikes push prices higher, but the number that actually matters is the Strait of Hormuz number. 20 million barrels of oil per day move through that channel, 20% of global supply. Iran has already positioned gunboats there, has already shot down an American drone near a carrier. Any threat to that channel, and Iran will make the threat the moment bombs fall, sends Brent crude to $91 or higher through the end of 2026, according to Bloomberg Nef's adverse modeling. At that level, the daily oil premium on American consumption alone is $500 million per day. Per day, before any other economic effect registers. Verdict: the Strait of Hormuz is the detonator, and Iran's finger is already near it. Here's where the inflation math hits your household directly. Receipt 3, the promise that breaks. Trump won the 2024 election on one economic argument above all others. He had defeated inflation, and Democrats had caused it. Oxford Economics projects a Hormuz disruption pushes U.S. inflation to 4.5% or higher. Capital Economics wrote this week that Iran strikes would threaten to boost inflation in much of the world, reducing the pace or number of interest rate cuts. Federal Reserve rate cuts stay delayed, mortgage rates stay elevated, small business borrowing costs stay punishing. Gas hits $5 nationally, possibly $6. Grocery prices resume climbing. The specific voters who gave Trump his second term, working-class households, suburban families, rural communities dependent on gas prices, are the most directly exposed to every one of these costs. They are not abstract economic statistics. They are the people who believed the promise, and this is the promise breaking. Verdict: an Iran war does not just damage the economy, it specifically damages the people who trusted Trump most. Receipt 4. $3.5 trillion in days. Markets have priced a deal as the base case. The VIX remains calm, but this week already showed the volatility hiding underneath. Stocks fell on Trump's deadline language and recovered on diplomatic words. When the diplomatic words stop and the confirmation comes, the selling does not pause to recover. Financial models for conflict-driven market events project shoppers 6% to 8%. S&P 500 decline on confirmed strike news. The American equity market sits at $50 trillion. 7% is $3.5 trillion gone in days, not in a quarter, not in a year, in days. 401k balances, pension funds, retirement savings, the financial security that suburban voters in swing states have spent decades building, evaporated before they can react. Verdict: the market crash is not a future risk. It is a scheduled event if authorization transmits. Here is what every other outlet is burying. The most important thing that happened this week in the Iran story did not happen in Geneva. It happened in a conference room in Washington where Republican campaign officials briefed numerous cabinet secretaries on economic messaging for the November midterms. Trump was not there. His own political operation held a strategy session about the election he needs to win, and did not include him, because they have already concluded that the decision he is about to make is incompatible with the campaign they need to run. This is not a staff disagreement. This is not standard political operations. Cabinet secretaries are being briefed on economic messaging without the president by campaign officials who understand that Iran war plus $6 gas plus crashed markets is not a winning November message in any universe. They cannot change his mind. They have apparently stopped trying in that room, so they are working around him. The Republican Party is preparing for its own president to make the most damaging political decision of his second term, in real time, this week. And almost no outlet is leading with that. Trump operates from two axioms built over 50 years. Strength must be demonstrated visibly. Backing down is the one unrecoverable move. These axioms are what made him. They are also what make this situation uniquely dangerous, because those rules were developed when consequences were contained. A bad deal, you walk away. A bad election cycle, you rebuild. Iran is not contained. The $300 billion economic shock does not reset. You cannot walk away from a recession you caused. The pattern that haunts his economic team is what analysts are calling the pre-Tay build-up paradox. Every carrier deployed, every aircraft repositioned, every public deadline issued makes the political cost of standing down larger, not because of Iran's reaction, because of the domestic optics. Two carriers in the Arabian Sea and a retreat looks weak. B-2 bombers at Diego Garcia and a deal looks like a capitulation. Trump built the trap himself, and now he has to decide whether to spring it or stand in it. His advisors want him to stand in it. History says he springs it. The advisor who talked to Axios put 90% on it, and they know him better than we do. Republicans are defending 21 Senate seats in 2026. Democrats defend only 13. In Pennsylvania, Ohio, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Maine, and North Carolina, the 7 states that determine control of both chambers, the voters most exposed to gas prices, grocery inflation, and 401k losses are the exact voters Republicans need. Historical patterns show the White House party loses 30 House seats in the first midterm without a crisis. An economic crisis from a self-started war does not produce historical patterns. It produces 2006. It produces the kind of defeat that reshapes party coalitions for years. Bush's approval stayed elevated after Iraq because the economy stayed strong for 2 years. By 2006, when the economy started softening and Iraq's costs became undeniable, the collapse was total. 30 House seats, 6 Senate seats, both chambers. Iran does not give Trump 2 years of economic buffer. The oil shock arrives in 48 hours. The market crash arrives in days. The inflation report arrives in weeks. The election arrives in 9 months. The truck driver in Pennsylvania does not know what the Strait of Hormuz is. He knows what the pump says. He knows what the grocery bill says. He knows whether the promise was kept. His vote is the only audit that matters in November. And his advisor already knows that the man who made him the promise is 8 days from breaking it.